All right, so day 21. We've basically got no pressure washing for the next 3 days. We're just painting this house here. So we've been flogging ourselves on these Dowling handrails. We'll be finishing them today, so I'll do a video on that, and then I'll try and do a video on something else on the third day. So what we'll talk about today is the auto pump. All right, so this is the auto pump set up from Flowmix. Hector down in Sydney there. This has been on the truck for 4 months. You can see that I don't really take care of things too much. I've had a lot of the hoses pop off. They're blown out and chlorine's gone all over the place. So I don't worry about it too much, because if I have the feeling if I make enough money off this in a year's time, I can just throw this out or sell it for a couple of grand, and then somebody else can have fun with it, and then I'll just put a new one on the truck, because I like reliable gear on my truck all the time, so that way I can always have less downtime. So if I can take this off and then put a new one on, then so be it. This is the 70 litre pump that we got for this one. So it's been pretty good. This has only been on the truck for 4 months. It's made me a lot of money, way more money than the pump itself. So if I just bought a new pump every single year for a tax write-off, I would make more than enough money by just having that on the truck, because it's the speed, it's the time, everything else that saves you. So the few things that we have modified on the auto pump was we put this little peacock valve in underneath here. So it's got a little brass connector up underneath there with a hose clamp with just a little oil hose, and then we've got a little thread in there in case it does leak, and then we got the on-off valve. So the main reason I did that is because I drop the oil on this every month, regardless if I've used it or not. I normally just drop the oil. So I'll come out here and I'll drop a bucket, and I'll just zip tie it to the side here. I'll drop the bucket and I'll just open it up, and I'll come back in the morning. That'll be all drained out, because it'll just slowly seep out. So we'd take off the cap off the top here and we'll just let it seep out. Then in the morning, I'll just pull the pull cord a couple of times, and that'll just pump the last remaining bits of oil in the head there. So it makes it super easy. It was like $100 in fittings and stuff to put it on there. And then you got the gearbox one. Well, that one's not too bad, because you can put you can get one of those curly plastic things to put up in there and just drain it straight into a bucket. So that one's not so bad to get into, but that one's right up underneath that head. So we put that in. That way that just sits up there like that and doesn't really move. So that was the first upgrade that I did to the pump. And then it was working out the hose clamps. So what we did with the hose clamps is we got a super clamp. These super clamps are 26-28 for a 5/8 hose. This is a 5/8 hose. What we've done is we've grabbed the old clamp, and we've taken off. I've cut off the rib section. So what I do is, we got the super clamp. I cut off the graded section on the hose clamp. So I've got these ones here. So say I take that's got a rib section on it. I haven't got one on here because I've cut off a couple. I keep a whole bunch of hose clamps and stuff in here back up. yeah, so like that. So I'll cut it off like that, and then I'll bend it around. I'll keep this one in reserve. So then what I do is I'll put it on the hose and I'll shove it up underneath this clamp. So I'll use some like a little flathead screwdriver, and I'll just slowly push it up underneath so it sits up underneath this clamp, and then I'll clamp this one down. So that way you get a nice tight grip, and then this pushes in and clamps that hose down to your nipple. And then I have less trouble with these blowing. Well, this one hasn't blown off for 3 months. So that one's been on there for 3 months. With the 40 litre one, you probably have less problems like that. But with the 71, I feel when you're bumping your PSI up to 250 and stuff, you got some power going through that system. So, like the hose, this one's blown off once since I've had the hose on here. So all we did is we cut an inch off and then we re-put it on. So it wasn't a big issue. It's always going to happen like that. But you see how that clamp is not fully closed? Because we got the silver, old hose clamp underneath that, and it's pushing down, and these clamps aren't fully closed. So that way you got a lot more bite power when you clamp it together. So we've got the same hose clamp on the inside of the reel as well. So we did the same system there. And then for the bypass hose, because the pressure drops, I don't have a problem with this one blowing out. When you do get sometimes you get back pressure. So say if you're turning your PSI or your pressure gauge off, so this is off at the moment, then you turn it on, and then you've been running your machine and you go back to the machine. I always like to have the gun open when I do this and turn it off, because of this little plastic connector, because that thread, that's nice and tight at the moment, it blows the central piece out. Hector is trying to sort this one out at the moment, so we've got a nice solid piece in there or something. He's working that one out. But yeah, this one's blown off like 4 times, but it's just a matter of undoing that hose clamp, taking that hose off and putting it back on. It's like super easy. But I've found if I just have the gun open when I'm turning the pressure off, I haven't had that problem from there. So gun open, pressure off, turn the machine off, and then wind up the hose. And I've never had a problem with that hose blowing since that point of time. It didn't happen for quite a while. Sometimes it just spikes for some reason, builds up back pressure. I'm not an expert on all that type of stuff, but it just happens. So other than that, this thing has been gold. Like some roofs I've done in 45 minutes, $1,200 jobs I've done in an hour and a half. Like it's just been godsend. And like commercial washing, it's made me a ton of money in speed with commercial washing. So things we learnt on this: we can't put banjo valves or the plastic banjos on this, like the quick connect banjos, because they just blow off. So we had to take all them off, because I was trying to work out a system where I can still use my manifold and hook up to my 24 volt system, but I might just have to do a whole new manifold and have a manifold for my 24 volt system and one for my gas powered system. So the only downside to that is we've dropped down to 4 hose reels now. So I'm going to have to isolate or I'm going to have to put a hose reel up underneath the truck for the 24 volt system. I want to get one back on the truck, just due to I do a lot of commercial that has early starts, or when I come into summer, I can start earlier with my 24 volt system doing a soft wash on the roof, then powering up this thing. If I'm in a rural area, it doesn't really matter. So that's just a little rundown on the auto pump. It's been great, like 4 months. The thing's already made me money. I'll buy a new one. I'll probably end up selling that one secondhand to somebody and then just buying a new one. It's the same as my pressure washing pump. That one's been on there since Christmas. It's just racked up 1,000 hours. Is it Christmas? Yeah, I think it was Christmas. Racked up 1,000 hours. So that's the most amount of hours that I've ever put on a machine. Like my other machine broke and I sold that, and that was 900 hours. If you watch my channel, you know what machine that was. But we're probably going to sell this one because I want to try out the cheap bar machines. They're about 7,000, 6,500. So this one's 9.5. So I'm thinking about, we'll probably end up selling that one towards August or something like that, September, and then we'll put a new one on for Christmas and just see how it goes. Like, I like to test things out, so if I can sell that for a couple of grand and then buy the new one, I get a tax write-off. But I testing out gear as I go, so you know, people ask about a P40, but I'm not overly interested in a P40. The auto pump was about the only one that I was interested because Hector was doing it, and I thought I'd give him a go, benefit of the doubt, and it's been quite impressive. So that thing will probably stay on the truck until it breaks, and we'll work out, or I'll buy one and have it sitting at home, and then when that breaks, that one will come off and the new one will come on. So I do want to probably get the full setup with the remote control, the manifold, the on-off start, all that type of stuff. I'd probably like to get that one because it'd be much easier for what I'm doing. Like, I've got my remote control manifold there, which does all the up and down, and I've got a bypass. We put this in. I built this one with Hector, where I told him that I want a 1-inch gate valve with isolator on it. So we built this from China, and then it's got a 1-inch valve on the bottom of there. So we got that hooked in. So when I'm doing a bypass with water, so when I'm rinsing, I'm bypassing the manifold straight to my water tank. So that gate valve opens, and then I come straight into the bottom of the manifold, straight through. I'm sucking 1 inch of water straight out of my tank. So I have a lot more flow because I'm not going through check valves and less 90-degree bends and stuff like that. So I'm going straight through to my system. So we've got that's been a godsend, and I'm pretty stoked with that. And it sits in there, it's all plumbed up, it's pretty good. So yeah, just a rundown on the gear for today. And then what I'll do is I'll do a bit of filming on painting today. So I'll do a couple little time lapses so you can see, because we've got to do the blue, and what we got to do is finish off the railing today. So we'll get talking into that in today's video.